Stanley, Scuba, Sailing, and Adventures. Scuba diving, Turks Caicos. Dive site, Magic Mushroom. The Magic Mushroom dive site is located off of the West Caicos Island, just north of the Yankeetown ruins. Like most of the other dive sites here off of West Caicos, the dive site features a wall. It ranges in depth from 40 to 80 feet. Here's our group just entering the water and getting organized for the dive. The bottom here directly under the boat, as you can see, is largely sand with occasional coral heads and rocks. Since there's virtually no current to speak of, we have our choice, and on this first dive of this dive site, we'll head out to the wall, turn north, swim north until we reach half tank, and then work our way back over the edge of the reef back to the boat. On my way to the wall, I encountered this spotted moray eel. The spotted moray eel range in size from 1.5 to 3 feet, reaching a maximum of 4 feet, and they're usually found in depths of water from 6 to 40 feet. Here, as we get closer to the edge of the wall, I encountered this reef shark, and I got some pictures while I was shooting video. It wasn't moving directly toward me, but past me. After I snapped a couple pictures here, I point the camera down so that I can preview the images I'd just taken. And by the time I look back up, the shark had changed course and was coming very close to me. We'd had so much shark activity already this week, I wasn't completely surprised. And especially after my last encounter, if you watch the last dive video where the shark actually bumped the dome on my camera, I wasn't surprised at all to have the shark come by that closely. Here we are at the top edge of the wall. The visibility is well over 100 feet. As I mentioned, it was the first dive on this particular dive site, and we'd be diving each dive site 2 to 3 times. Overall, for this trip, it was dive number 12 for me, the third day of diving. I was still battling some pretty severe congestion, and as a result, having some ear problems. I was continuing with the Sudafed and the ear beer after diving, but wasn't getting much relief. Little did I know at the time this would be my second to last dive for this trip, and I'd be sitting out for the rest of the week. Here are a couple of blue chromies. They're actually part of the damselfish family. They range in size from 3 to 4 inches, reaching a maximum of about 5 inches, and they're typically found in depths of water ranging from 35 to 80 feet. Moving along the reef, looks like we have a couple of snappers in front of me. There's one moving off to the left, one in front of me. Looks like a triggerfish passing by overhead. Lots going on here. And it looks like there's a green moray under this rock in front of me. I believe this fish with the yellow just to the right of the green moray eel is a French grunt. In my opinion, they look very similar to the lane snapper, but if you notice, the yellow lines on his body are not completely horizontal. They're actually diagonal. As he comes right in front of the camera, you can see those stripes are set diagonally, and I believe that's the best way to tell the French grunt from the lane snapper. I also think they're a little smaller. Here we are back on the wall, and there's another reef shark. As you saw, it came right between our group of divers, and now it's going back between the group. And the person that's going behind doesn't even know there's a shark there. They see the other divers pointing it out. All week, the sharks have been making very close passes and going right in between our dive group. And then, of course, in the last video, you saw that the shark bumped my camera. I was amazed at all of the shark activity this week. It was quite exciting. Here I'm looking straight down over the edge of the wall. I think that's got to be a lot deeper than 80 feet. The dive briefing said the site ranged to 80 feet, but looking at the scale, the size of these divers compared to the depth of that wall, it's got to be much deeper than 80 feet. Plus, we were at about 40 feet right here. Here we see a school of Creole wrasse going kind of over the edge of the wall. I love staring out into the deep blue. It was a great day. We had lots of sunshine. This dive started at about 1:50 in the afternoon and lasted just about 55 minutes. I recorded an average depth of 46 feet and a maximum depth of 71 feet. The water temperature averaged a comfortable 82 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't often shoot a lot of video of the chromies and damselfish or the grunts, but I think I probably need to start spending a little more time with the smaller fish. A lot of large barrel sponges on this dive site, just like I'd seen on the other dive sites here in West Caicos. Very vibrant dive sites, lots of fish, lots of variety of fish. Here we have a trumpet fish, and I'm trying to get positioned. I have the sun behind me, so it's a little hard to see him. It's kind of a small one. The trumpet fish is actually part of the seahorse family. Here you get a little bit better view. It's quite a small one. That's one thing I did not see a lot of here in the Turks and Caicos. Did not see a lot of trumpet fish. It's interesting how the same species of fish will vary just a little bit, not terribly far away. I was in the BVI not too long ago, and there were a lot of trumpet fish that were very large, and they almost had a little bit of a bluish color in the face. Here you can see we have another reef shark kind of working the top edge of the wall. And yet another reef shark. This one's coming right at me just for a second. Again, made for some great photographs. These reef sharks were making incredibly close passes all week. I'm not sure if we had a single dive that we didn't see at least one or two reef sharks. I don't know if that's common for the Turks and Caicos. The only other time I'd been here, I saw a reef shark, and that was I only did a half-day trip and did 2 dives. This reef shark was kind of circling this large coral rock formation, and I was interested to see what the shark would do. It was making circles, but kind of larger circles. Occasionally would swim directly at me. There was a little bit of particulate in the water at this point, you can see that, and it didn't make for particularly great photographs from this distance. You can see when I'm looking down, I'm checking the photos I've just taken, and keeping an eye on this shark as it just seemed to make circles. It wasn't going away. See, occasionally it'll point to me just for a few seconds, but just a little too far away to be able to get a really great picture. And then, of course, the particulate. I had my flash going, so ended up with a lot of noise in some of those. I did get a couple really good pictures of this shark as well. Again, this is a very interesting shark behavior, different than I've seen before. Not used to sharks making such small circles. Usually reef sharks will just be cruising along the reef and don't pay much attention to divers. I have had reef sharks in Belize make extremely close passes, and those sharks really seem to respond to my signaling device. Someone told me that it might sound like a spear hitting a reef. But these sharks, I didn't have that signaling device on this trip, and since there's no spear fishing here, I'm not sure if I would have gotten the same reaction from these sharks. After this trip and spending some time reviewing all the shark footage I got, I have to say this is but this is the trip where I have seen the most shark activity. Other than diving in the Bahamas during Shark Week, when there's a lot of shark feeding going on. But even then, the sharks didn't seem to hang around as much. Once they realized we didn't have any food, they didn't really hang around. Unlike these sharks here in the Turks and Caicos that seem to stay really close and make several close passes and many circles. He looks like he just ate something there. I don't know if you saw that, but his mouth opened and closed, or maybe he was stretching his jaw. I got a couple pictures of that, but he was a little too far away for those to really be worthwhile. So those went in the scrap bin. As I mentioned earlier in the video, I was just battling severe congestion by this point, and I'd only get one more dive in, and that would be the next dive. So that'll be next week's video, and extremely exciting event towards the end of that video. I hope you get a chance to see it. I don't want to give it away, but a random encounter with a large solitary predator that just came out of the depths. So that was probably one of the most exciting things that's ever happened to me while diving. But you'll have to wait till next week for that one. Never a dull moment here on the safety stop. I got to spend a little time with this barracuda and got some pictures of him. Just lots of sunlight. It's a little better here. I almost had too much sun in the other direction, but I got a couple great pictures of this barracuda. Great way to spend a safety stop. It's always nice when you have something to look at. Here's the rest of our crew, everybody just kind of hanging out. There are the ladders, and there's the barracuda putting on a show.
Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.